Hello everybody, this is Saachi and today we are going to learn array basics in Java. Our learning objective for today is to be able to understand the storing of an array along with its uses, while our success criteria for today is to learn how to declare and initialize arrays, access and display the values stored in an array, understand the size and structure of an array, and analyze the advantages and disadvantages of using an array. What is an array? An array is a data structure that can store a number of elements of the same data type. Since it stores elements of the same data type, it is also known as a homogeneous data structure. All the elements of an array are referred under the same name, and each element of an array is referred by its index position, which we will discuss later. Arrays are useful to store and process huge volumes of data. Examples of arrays. Arrays can be useful to store science marks of 100 students, store months of the year, store temperature readings of a particular month, store pixels of an image, store days of week, etc. So the structure of an array. Just focus on the picture below. There are 5 elements. First element has 1 as the number stored inside it. Second has 9. Third has 2. Fourth has 7. And the fifth has 4. Now you see there are numbers written on top of these elements. Now what are these numbers? These numbers are called index numbers. Index numbers indicate the position. The first index number of any array is 0. All index numbers start with 0, while the last index number of any array will be n minus 1, n being the length of the array. Now here the length of the array is 5. So the first element has 0 index number, second element has 1 index number, third has 2, fourth has 3, and the last has 4. Remember 4 is 5 minus 1, 5 being the length of the array. So the index number is always the position number minus 1. Index numbers can only be of short, byte, or integer data type. They cannot be represented as any other data type. If index number is less than 0, or it is equal to or more than the length of the array, that is, it is not inside the range between 0 and array length minus 1, then the compiler throws an error called array index outer bounds exception. Now we'll learn how to declare and initialize an array. So first we'll learn how to declare an array. You can see first we specified the data type of the array, then we specified a valid identifier, that is the array name, followed by closed but empty square brackets equals to new. New is the keyword that reserves space in the memory to store the array. Followed by new is again the same data type which we specified earlier, followed by the data type again on the right hand side. We say square brackets which has the array length inside it terminated by a semicolon. For example, you can see int marks square bracket is equal to new int 5. This means we are declaring an array called marks of integer data type which can store 5 elements inside it, or the length of the array is 5. This array has a purpose of storing marks of 5 students. Now remember that this array has just been declared. We are not actually storing the elements of the array. This means that the array is non-initialized. Any non-initialized array will store default data values of the corresponding data type. Now, for example, I have not initialized this array, and all the 5 elements of the array will hold the value of 0, that is the default data type of int. If it was a double data type, all the elements of the array would hold 0.0, that is the default value of the double data type. Make sure you research on default values of different data types to know what goes inside a non-initialized type. Now we'll learn how to initialize an array. The left-hand side remains the same. We specify the data type, followed by the array name, followed by the square brackets, equals to, now we have curly braces. Whenever we need to initialize an array, we have curly braces, and inside the curly braces, we specify the elements in them. Each element is separated by a comma, while the statement is terminated by a semicolon. For example, we have a character array called vowel, which stores all the vowels of the English alphabets, that is A, E, I, O, U, inside the curly braces as discussed, terminated by a semicolon. Since it is a character array, each element is enclosed inside single quotes. If it was a string array, each element has to be enclosed inside double quotes. This is another way of initialization. Here we are first declaring the array and then individually assigning each element inside the array. So here we are declaring an array in the first statement of string data type week of length 7. So you can say it stores 7 days of a week. Now we specify the index number in the following statements within the square brackets preceded by the array name. So you can see week square bracket 0 equals to Sunday. Week square brackets 1 equals to Monday. So here we are individually assigning each day of the week as a string inside the array, starting from 0, that is the first element, to 6, that is the last element of this array. So here you can see array name, a square brackets index number equals to the element to be stored. Now we'll see how do we declare and initialize arrays using for loops. In this code snippet, you can see that I am accepting the number of students as an integer in n, and then I'm creating an array called mark of integer data type of length n. Now using a for loop, I am initializing or assigning the elements from the user and storing it inside the array. As you can see, the for loop starts with 0 and ends at mark.length minus 1. What is mark.length? Whenever we specify the array name .length, it returns the length of the array. So here the length of the array is n. So it will start from 0, it will end at n minus 1, and at each iteration, it will keep accepting elements from the user that will be stored inside the array. Since we are not known the length of the array and that is being accepted by the user, we can say that we are dynamically initializing the array over here. Now let's come back to our previous example. We have 5 elements. The first element is 1, followed by 9, then 2, then 7, then 4, and above the elements, the index position are specified. Now we have to see how would we initialize these arrays. It may be in one statement, it may be in 2 statements, it may be in different statements. So I'm giving you 15 seconds to note down any possibility of initializing this array containing numbers of length 5, and then we'll discuss how do we initialize this array. Okay, the time is up. Now we're going to discuss how do we initialize this array. There are 3 possibilities. So one of the possibilities is this. Int mark, suppose the array name is mark, equals to new int 5. So first it's declaring an array of length 5, and in the second statement, using the same array name, it is initializing the values or the elements of the array within the curly braces. Now what could be the second possibility? The second possibility is this: int mark is equal to curly braces 19274. This means that we are just initializing the array in one single statement and declaring and assigning the values together. Now the third possibility is this. First we declare the array as the first possibility, that is int mark is equal to new int 5, that is declaring an array of length 5 of integer data type called mark, and then individually assigning each element of the array like this. Mark 0 is equal to 1, mark 1 is equal to 9, mark 2 is equal to 2, so on and so forth. Here we are specifying the index number within the square brackets preceded by the array name. Here my array name is mark. It could be any array name that is a valid identifier. Now let's discuss what is the size of an array. The size each element of an array occupies corresponds to the data type of the array. The size of the array has a simple formula. So we multiply the size of the data type into the length of the array. If we go back on a previous example, the size of the data type, that is int, is 4 bytes, while the length of the array is 5. So if we multiply 4 into 5, we get 20, and this array needs 20 bytes in the memory to store it. If the array length was 10 of long data type, long has 8 elements and the length being 10, so we multiply 8 into 10, that is 80 bytes. The array would take 80 bytes to store. In the example mentioned over here, int a square bracket is equal to new int 10. The length of the array is 10, while the data size of the data type int is 4. That is 4 into 10, that is 40 bytes are required to store the array. Processing of an array. So what does processing of an array mean? It means accessing data from an array, arranging the data in an array in either ascending or descending order, searching for some specified data, or manipulating or changing the values in the array. So here we are only going to discuss how do we access data from an array. Accessing elements. So there are two ways of accessing elements. One is sequential access and one is random access. Sequential access is similar on how do we sequentially input the data from the user. Yes, a sequential access can again be accomplished using looping constructs like for loop, do while loop, while loop. Here we have declared the array. We have also initialized it. Now we are using a for loop and printing a num square bracket x being the index position of the array, which starts from 0 and ends at 5 minus 1, that is random access. We can access the elements of an array randomly just by specifying the index of an element. Now here the array is already initialized. If we are printing ag square bracket 3, it will print the fourth element of the array, that is 15. If we print ag square bracket 5, it will print the sixth element of an array, that is 63. If we print ag square bracket minus 2 or ag square bracket 8, that is not inside the range of the index values, that is negative or equal to or greater than the length of the array, it will throw an error, that is array index outer bounds exception. Now what are the pros and cons of using an array? Pros of using an array is that it is an ideal way to store large number of data. It is a fast and easy access to elements and comes in efficient use to process data. Cons, it has a fixed size. If the array has already been declared, its size cannot be extended or shrinked. It cannot contain elements of different data types. If it is an integer array, all the elements in the array should be of integer data type. Insertion and deletion of elements from an array is a tedious task and it is difficult. And if you suppose have an array of element 10, but you're storing only 5 elements of the array, you're wasting the other 5 elements that the array has reserved its space in the memory, and hence it results in wastage of memory space. So that's it for today's video. There will be an assignment uploaded for you to practice array basics. If you have any doubts or suggestions, please do let us know in the comment section. Else, please like, share, and subscribe today's video. And we'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.